Welcome back for your gentle yoga class today. Allowing yourself to start from a seated place, comfortable seat, whatever that looks like for you. If starting on the ground doesn't feel okay, you're always welcome to start in the chair or the couch, a bed, some supportive surface that feels like you can find some comfort, stability, but also the opportunity to start to adjust the posture. Maybe feel your way through your body, your skin, the muscles, the bones, the blood, the breath. Let's not forget. Noticing here if you are able to just start to ground through the low body, whatever is kind of supporting you from the seat, noticing if you can feel that support underneath you. You might even just kind of rock side to side or move a little bit around to notice the sit bones at the back of the pelvis, the tops of the legs, the muscles that kind of wrap all around and help kind of hold us in strength, but also with just enough support that we can release and draw some of the energy out from other places in our skin. Maybe rolling the shoulders a little bit here, and get some wiggles out if you have any kind of residual energy, anxiousness, nervousness, anything like that. Sometimes a little bit of a wiggle or a shake can help us just meet that energy where it is before we try to bring ourselves down into kind of a calm place. So if there's anything like that that you need to kind of brush off, de-stress, wipe away, allowing ourselves to take the space that we need here, owning our place on the earth, that we have kind of enough, what would that be? Enough ownership, I guess, of our bodies, but that we also deserve to walk this earth and have enough space for ourselves to thrive as well. Sometimes, especially as we might take on, caretaking roles or responsibilities at this time and maybe throughout our lives, it can be easy to kind of minimize ourselves and take up less space. And today we'll invite the opportunity to take up a little bit more space. So from here, if you'd like to, you might just start with that nice tall spine, lifting through the crown of the head. Maybe allowing the heart to be open, maybe the tops of the shoulders roll back and down a little bit here. Maybe allowing ourselves to expand the breath in the belly down deep, widening like we're filling an inner tube that surrounds ourselves in the waist. Or even breathing down to fill our socks, or if our imaginary socks or shoes perhaps today. Setting that breath down deep with the exhale, drawing the inhale, drawing the belly in with the breath out, squeezing even just the last bits of air navel toward the spine. With our inhale, allowing the breath to flow deep through us, maybe even up into the middle ribs, maybe then up into the collarbones a little. With that breath out, focusing on squeezing all of the air out to the degree that's comfortable. Just giving yourself a few more rounds of this breath. You can add some arm movement here if you wish to, even just lifting the hands gently off the lap with the inhale and sending them back down with the exhale. That might look a little bit different. Maybe you bend at the elbows and exhale to release back down. Maybe rising all the way up with the arms in an in-breath. And floating the hands back down. So whatever movements might feel right for you today, just sense the breath, invite it in. Some sense of expansion. And drawing the breath back out. So we're cycling that breath. Any places in the lungs or the body where that breath might be stagnant, we're inviting it to shift and start to change, move through us. Maybe another breath or so here. Anytime you feel ready, maybe inviting a little bit of a settling. The hands maybe coming together in Namaste Mudra. Maybe the base of the thumbs coming in toward the heart. Maybe maybe you press the palms together to help roll the shoulders back and down. Continuing to lift through the heart and the crown, maybe taking a slight bow of the head here, inviting a reverent place for yourself. Setting an intention for your practice if you wish for one today. It could be one word or an affirmation that you want to keep close to you. And that affirmation is settled, allowing it to just come into you with every breath a little bit more and more. I'll invite here you to start taking the feet in front, hands behind. Just starting with a little bit of shift of the knees side to side. This can be a small movement or a bigger movement. It can be fast or slow. You might take it extra slow and just observe for yourself how it changes sensation just a little bit at a time, rotating through the hips. Where it might be tight or constricted. Allowing yourself from here to maybe extend the legs forward. Take a little bit of movement through the toes. So maybe rolling the toes, that may be one direction. Maybe reversing and trying to roll them the other direction. A little bit of a challenge for your brain. The nerves just fire those signals down into the feet. Good. Maybe coming to point and flex through the ankles. Using the musculature, the fascia in the feet to create these different movements. Engaging through the muscles to really move through kind of the forward and back limits. Really engaging some strength there through the low body. Maybe from here inviting a little bit of a circle through the ankles if that feels good to you. Checking in with the upright posture as well. Do we need to make any adjustments here? Rolling the shoulders back, lifting through the heart or the crown. Maybe reversing the direction of those ankles if you haven't already. Good. Inviting a little bit of a bounce into the knees. Softening here through the middle legs. And then allowing a little bit of a rotation from the tops of the hips here. Feet coming side to side. Very nice. We'll bring it in to draw the feet either toward bound ankles, so the bottoms of the feet come together in center, or an easy cross-legged seat, maybe opposite directions from where you started today. Allowing ourselves to move up a little bit more, motion through the body, inviting a seated cat-cow breath. So inhaling to open the chest forward, maybe lifting the gaze. With the exhale, rounding the back, tucking the chin, maybe tucking the tailbone under as well. Allowing yourself to move through with the breath and the body together. Inviting about 4 or 5 rounds here. And it depends on your speed and depth. Just getting a little bit more movement, flexibility through the spine. Inviting some shift and change for yourself, some maybe change for old patterns or old habits in our bodies. Good. When you finish there, inviting ourselves here, maybe to that cross-legged seat if you weren't there before. Hands coming into the shoulders and then taking a little bit of a twist through the spine. So with an inhale, we'll start maybe twisting to the right side, gaze coming around the shoulder. With the exhale, twisting around to the other side. And then taking it just as you would with your inhale and your exhale. Might not be a lot of movement, that's okay. Asking the core of the body to provide the twist. Inviting the gaze to come around the shoulders as well. Good. A few more rounds here if you choose. Maybe one more breath. Bringing it back to center as you're ready. Releasing those hands down, perhaps taking that roll through the shoulders. Maybe shrugging them up firmly in toward the ears and releasing them all at once if that shrug breath feels good to you. We're inviting you to kind of just create that movement through the shoulder girdle. Another option here would be elbows circling so the movement comes a little deeper into the shoulder socket. Maybe you choose to reverse the direction, finding your way. A couple more breaths here. Good. When that feels settled for you, inviting those shoulders to just rest down beneath the ears and then taking the chin toward the chest here. Inviting just a little bit of a circle, ear coming toward one shoulder, and then opposite ear coming toward the other shoulder. So a little half circle for the neck. Gentle, slow roll here. Inviting the breath to be still present and flowing. Maybe inhaling one direction and exhaling the other. Maybe one more round here for yourself. Good. Chin comes back to center when you're ready and then lifts back up to neutral. Inviting ourselves to take a little bit of movement through the face. So maybe chewing a little bit with the jaw, maybe wiggling the nose, opening and closing the eyes, maybe expressing some lift in the brows. So we've been inviting some of that movement, shift, and change into the face here. Settling that down with the last exhale. And allowing ourselves just to take could be all 4 fingers on one hand. Just a little bit of gentle pressure massage here for the crown of the head. It could also be a tapping motion. And maybe finding a spot that feels a little bit sensitive. That's the crown chakra point. Just allowing ourselves to bring awareness here. This is our exchange of energy with the universe. Our ability to be connected to all other life, all creation. Just giving ourselves a little bit of stimulation here. Sometimes we do this from, placing the head directly on the ground, like in a headstand prep, but we can also give a little bit of stimulation here just by tapping with the fingers or a little bit of gentle massage or rub. Good. So that was a little practice, a little sequence to take us all through from the first chakra, the low chakra, root chakra, all the way up the body and expressing a little bit of movement for every part of ourselves. So that's a good way to create a little bit of a warm-up, kind of get everything in the body online. From here, we'll go ahead and invite you to hands and knees. You might take a blanket for cushion underneath the knees if that fits for you here. Hands coming below the shoulders. Fingers can be spread wide. Inviting yourself to rock the hips a little bit side to side. So wagging the tail here. Again, checking that the breath can move with the body. Maybe it's a couple of beats for the inhale, a couple beats for the exhale. Maybe it's inhaling to one direction and exhaling the other. So kind of choosing your own speed and depth. Good. Inviting the hips to come back to center here. And we'll take the same kind of movement but with the upper body. So trying to keep the hips still, and the gaze can come back maybe toward the right foot first and then toward the left foot. So kind of tilting a little bit side to side just with the upper body. Taking some lateral bend through the spine. That side to side bend helps us to stay flexible and healthy as well. another round to each side here. Coming back to center with the spine as you're ready. Inviting some cat-cow breath in this place. Inhaling to drop the belly, lift the tailbone, the heart, and the gaze. With the exhale, rounding the back, tucking the tailbone, tucking the navel, tucking the chin. Reversing with the in-breath, dropping the belly. With the exhale, lifting through the back. A few more rounds here for yourself as you like them. A couple more rounds perhaps here. Allow yourself to come back to a centered spine after the last breath or exhale. Good. Coming back to neutral. And allowing ourselves from here to walk the hands forward. Release the heart toward the ground, the melted heart shape or the puppy dog pose. Forehead might come to the ground as well here. And allow yourself to relax into the breath. Allow yourself to release that heart maybe a little bit deeper. You can choose if there's pressure down through the hands, lengthen the arms, maybe a little bit deeper shoulder stretch. If you need more softness, maybe bending one elbow at a time or softening both elbows together. Cycling that deep breath through yourself. A reminder to stay present with the breath. Maybe one more inhale here. Releasing that full exhale, and then when you're ready, gently coming back up toward hands and knees. Good, so we'll walk our way up all the way to a tall kneel. Upright from the knees all the way through the torso. Inviting a little bit of gate pose today. So starting by placing the right hand on the outside of the right knee. And if it helps to have a block, a book, or some sort of support here for yourself so the hand doesn't have to go quite so far, feel free to bring in some support. And then that left leg is going to go straight out to the side. So the hand, the knee, and the foot all in one line here. Good. So the left arm can stay in place if you wish, or you can lift it up above the shoulder. So one arm pressing out of the earth, one arm maybe reaching up toward the sky, and the gaze could follow up toward the thumb or the ceiling there. Good. Maybe allowing yourself to notice where in the body the muscles wrap for support. And where else you might be able to find a little bit of softness. So balancing effort and ease in every shape we take. You might be relaxing through the face, the jaw, or the brow here. Maybe allowing the navel to draw in toward the spine for some core strength and support. If you want a little bit more balanced challenge and strength building, you can try lifting the left leg off the floor any amount. Building up some of that strength through the outer hip, glute medius and minimus there. Maybe taking it one more breath, maybe lifting just a little bit higher. With the exhale, setting that foot down, and then kind of rocking ourselves up to the knees. If you had a block on one side, you might bring it here to side two. Preparing ourselves with the hand. Left hand this time coming to ground, left knee, and right foot out to the side. And checking that line up, all in one line here. And starting to maybe rise through the right hand if that works for you on this side. Gaze might come up toward the thumb or the ceiling. We're pressing out of that left hand, so we're rising out of the earth and extending that energy up toward the sky. Nice deep breaths here. Maybe strengthening through the core body. Maybe engaging some of those stabilizer muscles to help us find the balance and control we need in this shape. Maybe allowing ourselves to soften through the jaw or the face a little bit more. Maybe relaxing the shoulders away from the ears or pressing them away from the ears. If you like that balance challenge, strength building, you might lift that right foot off the ground this time. And there might be differences in strength between one side or the other. This is usually the case, pretty common. We're just working on building the balance between both sides of the body over time. Good. So allowing yourself some deep breath, maybe lifting a little higher, one more inhale. With that exhale, gently bringing it back down to ground. Gently rising back up to our tall kneel, both knees together. Good. Inviting a little bit of a baby camel here, so hands coming to the low back of the tops of the glutes. As we press the pelvis forward, we gently roll the shoulders back and down, opening through the heart space. Gaze can come high and then start to back bend, pressing the pelvis forward. So we're making like a capital letter D with the front of the body. Releasing back as far as you want to go, being careful not to crimp the back of the neck. Taking a few rounds of breath here. Perhaps you can always come back up, reset the shape, or lessen the depth if it's too intense for you. Maybe one more breath here. On an inhale, gently bringing the gaze back to neutral, releasing through the body. Then sending those hips down toward the heels, inviting you to lay the front of the body forward, coming toward child's pose this time. Maybe the head and the neck relax here. Arms can be out front or tuck in by the sides of the body, you choose. As we add the breath to the body here, allowing ourselves to soften and expand any muscles that may be tense or have been holding that strength for us. So even as we can activate those muscles, we want to also be able to let them go and to be soft. That also helps us to condition the nervous system to both respond to stressors but also relax when we know that that stressor is over. Maybe taking another breath or two in your child's pose, noticing what else you might soften or let go of. Good. From here, inviting a rabbit pose. So dropping those hands back by the sides of the body and hands wrapping actually in toward the heels. So I wrap my hands around the heels like so. Some people might prefer to wrap the arms, bending at the elbows behind the knees instead. So you might try that variation if that feels better for you. Tucking the chin strongly toward the chest here, and so the crown of the head is pointed toward the ground. Little to no weight on the head, if at all. And then allow yourself to lift up through the hips, so the weight suspended on the arms. Stretching through the spine here, getting a nice deep stretch. Tucking the chin strong toward the chest helps us also to activate an immune response. Good for the endocrine system. One more breath or so here if you like. With an exhale, gently taking the hips back toward the heels, maybe resting those arms long again, taking another couple of breaths in child's pose just to be soft and calm. When you're ready for a little change, inviting yourself back up to table pose. Coming here toward a plank shape, so allow yourself to lower the hips down just enough that they're kind of a straight line between the shoulders and the knees. You can keep yourself on those knees if you wish to. If you want to add a little bit of strength, maybe today or maybe another time, you can always come up onto the toes. Also, maybe just one knee at a time can help be another modified version of a plank shape. So choosing how much strength you want to build here today, how much stress you want to bring in terms of a healthy stress on the muscles, the bones. Anytime we're bearing weight, we're helping to build bone density also, so this helps us to keep the upper body nice and strong. Cycling breath through this shape, maybe tucking the tailbone under a little bit more. When you're ready to release it down toward the ground, we're going to be practicing a little bit here, kind of refining our sun salutation or our low flow, shifting just a little bit forward, the weight forward into the hands a little bit, so that when we lower down, the elbows can stay more or less at 90 degrees. And I'll just demonstrate that one more time. So if you're on the ground, feel free to stay. But when we're in our plank pose, be it knees down or toes down, allowing ourselves to shift just a little bit forward. As we exhale, lowering toward the floor so the elbows stay about 90 degrees. Good. From here, we'll go ahead and take those hands below the shoulders, roll the shoulders back, lift up through our low cobra. So using some of our upper back strength here to lift the heart off the floor. Hands might gently support, or you might practice lifting the hands off the ground a little bit, proving that we can hold ourselves up with our own strength. Maybe those shoulder blades move toward the spine or toward each other a little bit deeper. Maybe taking one more breath here if you like. With an exhale, maybe taking it down toward the ground, one cheek to the side, arms releasing by the body, and letting everything go here, letting everything be soft. Maybe deep breathing. With the exhale, allowing yourself to relax a little bit deeper, supported by the earth. Good. Moving toward another variation of our low cobra pose. This time would be a wide-armed low cobra. So if I'm facing the ground, my arms are coming out a little bit wider, hands about elbow distance. If the arms are straight out from shoulders. Okay. Fingers are still spread wide here, and as we lift up, allowing ourselves to squeeze the shoulder blades together really strongly. We can hang the head here, relax through the neck if that feels good to you. You might also just gently, kind of take the shoulder blades up and down the back a little bit, or kind of squeeze them up and squeeze them down toward each other. You might notice some tension there between the shoulder blades. This might be a nice way of helping some of that soften. Maybe we're pressing out the stress or pressing out the toxicity. Maybe one more breath like this if you like. And welcome to release yourself back to the ground. Maybe the other cheek comes down toward the floor, arms resting by the sides. Letting everything go. Again, telling our nervous system, yes, we can activate, we can be strong when we need to be, and then also on the counter side, taking time, space for softness, for calm, for safety. Good. Working through a few more variations here in our prone practice. If you'd like to, you can come back to that low cobra shape where the hands are supporting. If you want a little extra challenge, leaving those arms long by the body and peeling the heart off the floor without support of the hands. Alternatively, you might even clasp the fingers behind the back, interlacing those hands, and lift up through the clasped fingers. A little bit more of a shoulder rinse there, a little bit more action for some of those back muscles, again squeezing out some tension. If you took that shape, allow yourself also to switch which thumb is on top. So reverse the direction of the hands and create that lift here. Good. Another deep breath or two as you like. Coming back down. Relaxing, maybe this first cheek comes again to the floor. Arms are soft by the side, whole body allowed to relax and chill out a little bit here. Maybe another breath or two for softness as you choose. And when you're ready for one more challenge, maybe allowing yourself to bring the chin to center again. This time, perhaps lifting up through the body in one of the ways that we had before. Could be low cobra or the half locust. So if you'd like to, also lift the legs off the ground here with the chest. Finding a balance point on the belly or the pelvis. Using the strength along the entire back body. You can even lift a little bit higher through the glutes, the calves maybe. The low back muscles, the upper back. Maybe even the backs of the arms and the hands provide a little bit more lift and strength. Taking another breath or two here. This is a lot of cardio work, so giving ourselves kindness as well. When you're ready to relax and soften, coming down in an exhale, letting everything go. Some deep, full breaths to encourage releasing excess energy. Very nice. When you're ready, hands can come back beneath the shoulders. Engaging the fingertips into the floor, gently pressing up. Coming back again for a child's pose perhaps. Getting a nice rounded spine to counter all those back bends we've just tried here on the floor. Soft head and neck. Maybe the forehead touches the floor, maybe it doesn't. Either way is okay. Finishing the last breath or so here in child's pose. And when you're feeling ready, we'll work our way towards standing. So maybe that looks like coming back toward a table pose. You can take a big safe step, 1 foot forward, bracing hands on the legs to lift up here. Or you might choose to move through a downward facing dog, tucking the toes from our table shape, lifting up through the hips. Maybe taking a little bit of a pedal in the knees or walking those feet toward the hands, one at a time. We'll go ahead and meet in a forward fold. It might be a deep, full fold. Hinging forward from the hips, letting the head and the neck be soft, the spine stretching toward the ground. Alternatively, you might choose to bend the knees, place the elbows on those knees, and take a little bit of a less fold. Head can still be soft, neck getting a stretch here. Or you might choose to find the halfway lift where the head and the heart stay on level, especially if you have high or low blood pressure. Sometimes this is the best kind of safe option for you. Maybe lifting through the tailbone a little bit higher, gentle support of hands on the knees or the shins, focusing on drawing the shoulder blades toward each other on the spine, and taking the crown of the head, stretching away from the tailbone. Giving a couple more breaths here to whatever option you might have chosen for yourself, or if there's another shape you want to try momentarily. Good. Finishing one exhale to finish, and then when you're ready, start to bend into the knees, soften the spine, gently roll up one vertebra at a time. coming up towards standing. Good. You can roll those shoulders back and down as we arrive here. Start to find a comfortable distance between the feet. Could be about hip width distance or a little bit closer, perhaps. Moving through a little bit of standing flow here. Inhaling to rise the arms with the breath. Nice deep inhale to the top. You can even take the gaze high and take a little back bend here. With an exhale, folding forward and down. So stopping at any, place that you feel comfortable. Half lift, ski pose, or that full fold. With the next in-breath, rise into the halfway lift if you aren't there already. So getting that strong lift in the tailbone, shoulders away from ears, rising out of the crown of the head. With the exhale, folding forward and down, softening the head and neck. Inhaling to rise, bending in the knees, this time lifting the heart and the gaze first. Taking the breath all the way up to the top, back bend option here. And exhaling, hands into center. So a couple more rounds like that, deep breath in. And our standing flow, back bend option at the top. With the exhale, releasing forward and down. Soft head and neck. Rise into halfway lift or holding if you're already there. Exhaling, again folding any depth, releasing the breath. Inhaling to bend in the knees, gently rise to the inhale. Back bend option. Exhaling, hands in towards center. One more round just like that. Deep breath in when you're ready. Lifting up through the chest, the heart, the gaze. Exhaling forward and down into fold. Deep breath in here, halfway lift. Exhaling to forward fold, any depth. Inhaling to rise to standing. Back bend option. Exhaling, hands coming into center. Good. Taking it a little bit deeper. Rising here with our inhale. Heart lifts, back bend option. Exhaling, coming forward and down. Any depth of fold you want to try. Inhaling to rise to halfway lift. Exhaling, placing the hands on the ground, stepping the feet back to downward facing dog. Taking a little pedal of the feet here if you like. Bending knees, maybe shifting the hips a little bit. Good. From here we're going to practice that plank pose to that transition, lowering toward the ground but shifting the weight forward a little bit. When you're ready, inhaling forward to a plank pose. It can be knees or toes, you choose. With the exhale, shifting that weight forward just a little. Weight more in the fingertips, and then exhaling to lower down toward the floor. Inhaling to rise up, could be that low Cobra pose. If you like a little bit more lift, maybe bringing it to high Cobra pose. Exhaling, maybe releasing that chest toward the ground. We're going to find a strong push-up, weight into the fingertips. Rising back up to a plank pose, knees or toes. And exhaling, pressing it back to downward facing dog. Maybe taking a little bit of a pedal in the feet or the knees here. Good. Working our way back towards standing, so you can choose walking those feet toward the hands, or a big safe step, grounding the knees first, 1 foot forward at a time. Good. Rising here to a halfway lift with an in-breath. Exhaling to lower into any depth of fold, forward fold. Inhaling to rise up to standing here. Sweeping high, back bend option. Exhaling, hands in towards center. Good. Nice deep breath. Lifting through the heart, the gaze, back bend option. Exhaling to come forward and down, any amount. Inhaling to rise to that half lift or holding that half lift. Exhaling, hands to ground, again stepping or walking the feet back, maybe finding downward facing dog, pedaling the feet if you like to. A little bit of a change here, inviting you to find a 3-leg dog, lifting the right leg toward the sky, But noticing that that right hip can stay rotated down toward the ground. If you find yourself opening really wide, that's just, also fine, just a different sort of stretch. It can be really interesting and engaging to rotate that right hip down toward the ground while we lift through the toes. Maybe pointing, flexing, and rolling the ankle here if that feels good to you. Good. Option to switch feet. Exhale that right foot down. Maybe the left toes want to rise this time. 3-leg dog. Maybe this time the left hip lowers toward the floor a little bit more. Maybe pointing, flexing, and rolling through the left ankle this time. Still powering breath through the whole body, using the strong lungs to pump that breath through the whole self. Good. Allow yourself to release those toes when you're ready. Bringing it forward on an inhale, coming back to the plank shape. Knees up or down. Leaning forward a little bit, again getting that practice, and then releasing the chest toward the ground with strong arms. Inhaling to rise. It can be low cobra or high cobra, you choose. With the exhale, releasing the chest toward the floor. Weight comes forward in the fingertips, strength in the push-up. Rising here. Little upper body work today. Exhaling, pressing back to downward facing dog when you're ready. Good. Again, either walking the feet toward the hands or taking a big safe step. Maybe the opposite foot forward this time. Rising here to the halfway lift with the inhale. With the exhale, any amount of fold. Rising all the way to standing. Lifting through the heart, the gaze, back bend option. And exhaling hands into center. Good, we'll go ahead and take a big step back, facing the long edge of the mat perhaps. Just inviting a little bit of a shift side to side for the hips here. Noticing that we're still moving breath, still flowing through us. Option for goddess pose, we'll bring those hands up to kind of 90-degree angles in the elbows. Heels maybe shifting in towards center, and then starting to sit down in a nice deep squat. Noticing that the knees and the ankles more or less in line. Might challenge the balance there a little bit. So if the knees are way out over the toes, that might be that the stance is too narrow. You can open those feet a little bit more to help get some depth, but also protect the knees, keep them safe. If you notice yourself either sticking the booty way back, maybe tucking that underneath you, or if you're leaning way forward, try to stack the ears, the shoulders, and the hips all up together in one vertical line. So this is our goddess pose. However deep you want to go, you work the shape a little bit harder the deeper you go. So choosing for yourself what that might look like or feel like. Maybe inviting one more breath here. Option to sink down just a little bit deeper with that exhale. And then rising out of the feet, coming here to a 5-point star. Extending the arms and the legs. Again, maybe shifting those hips just to help release that stretch. Inviting you to come into a forward fold here as well. So rotating those heels back, kind of parallel feet. Exhaling to come forward and down into the shape, hands toward the floor. Here too, if blocks help, you just bring that floor a little bit closer to yourself. Feel free to do that instead. You can choose, do you like to stay upright in more of a flat back shape, or does it feel good to you to release down into more of a fold? Lots of options. And in this place too, you might just shift those hips side to side a little bit. Notice how it stretches, maybe the inside of the legs, maybe a different part of the pelvis or low back. Get some work here. It might just be that this is the best place for you to just stretch the spine, let it hang with gravity. From this place, we'll walk ourselves back toward a downward facing dog. Maybe hands coming to one side of the mat, feet to the other. Walking your way around. Maybe giving a little bit of a ankle stretch, calf work, lifting and lowering on the toes a little bit if you like. Coming to ground the knees when you're ready. Transition to a seat. Good. Working our way down to the floor for our last few minutes of practice. Closing on the sequence with some calm and gentle work. Starting with a little bit of core strength. So from here, feet are on the floor, knees are bent, pointed up toward the ceiling. I want to rock the weight back a little bit so we're balancing more or less on the tailbone to that place where we can start to lift the toes off the ground, but we're not falling over. You might keep those toes on the ground here. You might start to lift the legs up. Could be a little bit, just even a centimeter or two. You could try to lift those shins parallel to the ground. Maybe the hands support underneath the knees here for some strength. Or maybe you add a little extra challenge and lift those hands out in front of you. Noticing that if you are collapsing the chest down, we want to be lifting through the heart instead. Shoulders are still away from ears. Core body still engaged. Heart is open. A lot of things to think about. So whatever feels like it comes into play for you, makes sense for your body right now, breathing through it. Good. If you want to transition to the low boat, it's a nice slow lower to where we're still balancing on the sacral spine, just above the tailbone here, just a couple inches above the ground, maybe getting some shakes. Nice deep breath. Exhaling when you're ready, releasing all the way to the ground, maybe then stretching from the tips of the toes to the tips of the fingers. Sometimes crossing the thumb and leaving the palms flat toward the sky can be a nice way of stretching through the upper body. When you're complete, feeling satisfied with that stretch, maybe drawing the knees into the chest, giving yourself a nice counter pose, a nice hug. Knees in toward the torso. You can wrap the arms around. You can connect hands to elbows or just hands to each other. Wherever you can get a hold. Maybe taking the tailbone a little bit closer to the earth, you'll notice maybe some more compression through the hip flexors. Squeezing out any tension or toxicity here. Taking a couple more breaths in this shape if you like it. When you're ready to release, allowing yourself to just release the hands maybe to the belly, the heart, or by the sides. Offering just time to gently rock those knees side to side. Take a little massage for the back. Inviting here a little bit of reclined twist if you'd like to roll those knees all the way over to one side. Finding that shape here. Maybe the opposite arm comes out behind you from the shoulder. You might follow the gaze over toward that hand, helping the twist to also move through the upper back and neck. If that doesn't feel good for you to have both knees over, you can also extend the bottom leg and just cross with the top leg. Sometimes that feels deeper to some, sometimes it feels more supportive. So choosing for yourself what you need here. Adding breath here to your body. Starting to relax again. Giving it away. Maybe more so here than any other shape yet in the practice. Noticing how much we can calm down or let go. Still taking Intentional breath through our whole selves, all the way down to the bottoms of the feet and the toes. Letting everything else kind of melt away. Maybe blurring the edges. Coming to just notice the breath. One inhale at a time. One exhale. Letting that whole breath go, inviting space and clarity for the next breath to be fully felt. And then letting that one go too. Anything else that feels keyed up or tense is allowed to melt here. Last couple of breaths in this side. And when you'd like to, start to transition, maybe coming back toward the back. Maybe again taking time to rock those knees side to side a little bit. And setting up for side two. When you're ready, maybe rocking those knees over to the other side this time. Or setting the legs up in whatever shape you might have taken on the first side here. Maybe extending the opposite arm out behind you. Maybe following the gaze toward that hand, helping the twist to complete through the upper back and neck. Noticing if you need supports anywhere. Sometimes a cushion under or between the knees can feel a lot better. That's an option you can take. Noticing what else you can rest or relax in this space. Can you bring that soul focus and attention to each inhale, every exhale, letting go of each past breath and leaving space and attention for each new breath. Is there anything else here that you need to let go of? Set free. Put down or put aside. Anything else that you can send back to wherever it is it came from. Maybe some energy that's not yours. Can we leave any more space for peace, calm, quiet, to be part of your embodied truth right now? Maybe taking another breath or two in this space. Whatever you want to leave here, feel free to let it go. When you're ready for transition, letting this time also go. Allowing yourself to come back again to the back, maybe roll side to side with the knees. Taking any other stretches, shapes, or movements that you might require now. Anything the body may be asking for. Or when you're ready, maybe releasing the legs down long, taking ourselves into corpse pose or shavasana. Hands just gently resting by the sides, backs of hands to the ground, and the fingers just gently allowed to curl toward the palms. Maybe you want to cover with a blanket here for some coziness or warmth. And if you can, just allowing yourself to melt the body into the earth. Let go of all attachments to your physical self. The things that feel good, the things that cause pain. This body is not who you are. It is your vessel. It is a sheath. But who you are is much more and much deeper. Giving this body away back to the earth and taking your peace in this place. Coming back home to your heart. Maybe finding that inner space, that refuge within you where you belong. Maybe meeting the breath, the heart together. Noticing the flow of life in each inhale and exhale, each beat of your heart. How precious is this life? Maybe turning toward gratefulness. A loving message that we can give ourselves right now to hold this essence of connection and coming home. Yourself to draw the attention and awareness back into the breath, the body, and the space around you. Allowing yourself to acknowledge whatever senses might be speaking. A sense of touch, a sense of hearing, a sense of sight, a sense of smell, a sense of taste. Whatever information is coming in to tell you where you are in this moment in time. Allowing yourself maybe to start to add movements slowly. It could be wiggles of fingers and toes, circling wrists and ankles. Maybe bringing the knees back into the chest for a hug, or wrapping the arms around yourself for a loving embrace. Maybe that intention or affirmation comes back to you from the start of this practice to the finish. Maybe you choose to press back up to a seat, maybe rolling to one side and lifting back. Or if you feel free, if you feel the need, feel free to stay grounded, soft, and calm. More minutes in Shavasana can be a very good thing for you to do for yourself. If you'd like to close this practice with me, inviting you to chant 3 Om or 3 Hum, even if it's in your own head or your own heart, or out loud if you choose, starting with a nice deep breath. Namaste. And thank you so much for joining in this practice. Let me know if there are any questions or anything else I can do to support you. Look forward to seeing you again soon, and thank you so much for joining in today.
Thank you.